It's fun. Yeah, like our staff, is in their own country, so. Time we set minutes. Check through as long as instruction is.
What if you can do?
I will confess.
Oh, we have to go down to Mexico or inspection trip, you know.
Yeah, but anyway, it's how I, if they were complaining about what I did, it just sad me.
All right.
All right, good evening, town council visitors, residents. I want to call to order the January 2026. Wow. Upper Surrey Town Council meeting to order. It is 7 P.M. All members of the town council are physically present. Would you all please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
And to the republic, which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A motion to approve the agenda. I have one change I'd like to offer the council. That is to move item 6.A. And it will become evident while I'm requesting that to be moved, to follow 4B. 6A to follow 4B. 6A to follow 4B. Are there any other amendments or suggestions? Hearing none, the chair will call for a motion.
Move to accept the agenda with that change.
Okay, is there a second on that? We have a second from David. Discussion on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed, the motion carries 7-0. Public comments.
Zero.
None. Reflecting in public comments. The mayor's announcement. The only thing I have, first of all, is Happy New Year to all of you. I hope it was a great holiday. Storm was at Waikiki. And wherever he was.
Mexican Riviera.
Next to the Riviera, and all kinds of great things.
Work.
Lynn and I spent our time riding up down the East Coast. So anyway, I'm glad that we all survived the holidays, and I'm very thankful to have the 6 of you serving with me, and I really appreciate what this group has accomplished in 5 months, 6 months, and I want to thank all of you personally for what you have done. I know it was a lot, particularly those of you that are new, and I know there was a lot of things that you have been thrown into, you may not have expected, but you took it on with great vigor. And that makes great things happen for the town, so thank you for that. The only other announcement I have is that Patty received a document, and I think she sent it. Did you send it, Patty, to the council? Okay. It's from CW Shipley School. We do like partnering, you can work.
Yes, it was.
We're partnering with Shipley Elementary School, and this is like their career week, and it's March 23 to 27. And they're asking if any astute leaders in the school area would be willing to come in and share your job, so to speak, with the kids. And they're breaking it out for K-2 and 3-5. Now, I gotta tell you, I did this a couple times for the fourth graders. And went in there and it was a hoot. So if you can, and they just suck everything in you say, particularly the fourth graders. Sure. You can trick the first and second graders, but you can't trick the fourth graders.
When is that?
Yeah, it is the week of March 23 to 27. And Patty, you want members of the council to come to you direct with some ideas and stuff? She'll kind of walk you through. It's a great opportunity. And when I did it a couple times, there was only like 40 kids, you know, I did it only just for the fourth graders and. There was like 40 kids each time. It was a lot of fun.
How much time did you spend there?
I was about 30 minutes. Yeah. What I did, I talked about. The running a local government and I made comparisons between being mayor. What a mayor kind of does compared to like what a governor does and compared to what like a president does. And they all do very similar things, but at different scales. And it was kind of neat, and I did some little bit of role playing, and I think I remember a couple other things, so. Yeah, it worked out, so if your schedule permits and you're into that thing, just get with Patty and she'll kind of help you out, get acquainted and they're great people over there, they really appreciate what we do for the school system. We had a lot of our kids here that go there, so.
I saw City Slippers, there's a great Billy Crystal monologue. Do it just that.
I love it. Kevin, do you have anything?
I don't.
I have something.
Okay, any other community? Well, let me do the other two first and then I'll come back to regular community. Well, here, superintendent, do you have anything for? You want to share? I knew you did.
Always try to bring something for you all. Happy New Year, members of council, Mr. Mayor. All right, 2026, here we are. We are marking the 250th anniversary. The founding of the nation. As you may be aware, the National Park Service and the Harpers Ferry Park Association will be presenting a series of events and programs in 2026 that highlight the ways in which the history of America can be found reflected in this town and national park. We expect to begin promoting these events by the end of the month. We're working on the awards for them now. And we have quite a program set. We can keep up with it ourselves. So please keep an eye out for all of that. And a lot of that will be carried by the association. But a lot of really great special programs as well this year. Next, I'd like to mention that the park is working with the National Parks Conservation Association to facilitate with a professional facilitator a discussion of parking concerns and potential remedies with local leaders. We plan to convene this one-day meeting in mid-March, and I will be sending hold the date invitations to Harpers Ferry officials in the next few days. We look forward to this important conversation with our gateway communities. On High Street, work will be starting soon on the Susan Downey House, also known as the Battle of 1862 Museum, to address legacy water damage and to do a lot of exterior repairs to the building. The project will take about 4 months to complete. The museum will be closed starting this Wednesday, January 14th, and should reopen to visitors around May 6th. The sidewalk in front of the building will also need to be closed during the exterior work starting on February the 9th, give or take a day or two, depending on weather, etc. And reopening again on or about March 2nd, so about 3 to 4 weeks for the sidewalk closure as well. And those are my updates, Mr. Mayor.
Tanya, what was the issue in the museum that's causing this?
It's not the museum, it's the building.
The building
The building
itself.
needs work, and we finally got to the point where we have the funding, we have the scope, we have the Historic Preservation Center has the time on their schedule to come and do it, so.
So it wasn't a catastrophic event that's caused this, or just,
The building has a lot of water
Time to
damage,
use.
especially around its foundation. So we need to repair it and seal it. And while we're at it, we're gonna be doing a lot of work. We're gonna be repainting, we're gonna be working on windows, we're gonna be doing a lot of work across the entire exterior of the building. Once we finish with the front of the building, then we can move to the other parts and it won't be as disruptive to the folks walking down the street.
any question, I did notice, note one of your new buses.
Thank you, very
Went up
excited
the-
about
went up the street.
that.
Went up the street with no diesel noise.
No, very quiet,
Yeah,
very quiet.
any questions for the superintendent?
Well, I was gonna let her know that Zachary Taylor was cleared on this perimeter by the Antietam trees.
Oh, the tree's been cut back?
Yes, so
Wonderful.
check them out if it needs more.
We really appreciate that. Thank you so
They
much.
took one of their big trucks to, to figure out how high to cut, and so they cut
Okay,
a pretty good job.
terrific. I will check with our maintenance folks.
Anything else? Thank you, superintendent. Okay, other community announcements, Christian, you want to take it
Yeah.
forward?
Yeah, I have one of them on the computer. There it is. So last month, I just learned this the other day that a prominent with a person in this community, Carl Stoll, who passed away, and he meant a lot to me in my years that he's worked in my property with Stone. I mean, he was just an unbelievable guy. And he passed away on December 18th from cancer, unfortunately. But I did want to read this one little thing from his obituary, and I was just thought it was apropos. He believed in doing things the old-fashioned way, always arriving in his international harvester to carry on the craft of historical restoration. He was a master mason, blacksmith, slate craftsman, and artist. Carl was happiest immersed in a project, hardworking to his core. He was also a romantic, a dancer, and a dreamer. His life balance of grit and grace, sweat and soul, and he leaves behind not only the structures he built, but the creativity and fearless energy that endeared him to all who loved him. And he really did so many projects in this town.
Yeah, he did some work, I believe, right up the street from me, and then I believe he did some at the church, did he? Yeah, he did some at the Methodist church, yeah.
White House. Well, I bet you everybody in town is.
Got his hands in everything, or had his hands in it.
Yeah, and very hard to get. I just wrote a little something about his obituary, got me thinking. Every time I had, he'd never return a phone call. Except once in a blue moon, you forget leaving a message. And then most of the time I'd be running after that international harvester, trying to catch him to find out where he's at. He'd be in Ball or someplace and I'd hunt him down. That was the best way to catch him, was face to face.
Well, you will live on in the stones of Harpersburg.
That's right.
He will.
Thank you, Christian, for those kind comments. Anybody else from the council have a community announcement? Okay. Approval of minutes, regular minutes, let's look at October 13, 2025 minutes.
I had one update, or I thought regarding the Hilltop Hotel, I don't have it right in front of me, but really I heard the word that Laura Zemansky made when she was speaking, and it was pause the hotel. It was the word pause. And also,
Which one are you reading on?
is that October?
We're looking at
That's a-
October.
Oh, I'm in the next month, sorry. I was in the December meeting,
Okay. just
Never
for my
mind.
thought.
yeah.
October 13. October 13 minutes, it's about 9 pages long.
I move to accept October 13th minutes as presented.
Second on the motion, second from Jesse. Thank you, Jesse. Discussion on the motion to approve October 13, hearing none, all those in favor. Opposed, motion carries unanimous 7-0. The next minutes will be December 8, 2025. It's approximately 11 days long.
Is that the regular meeting?
No.
No.
Yes,
Okay, that's the one I meant to talk to, and that has to do with the hilltop. So I think we need to update the record on that, but it's very important. The reason was they paused the project due to needing lower interest rates.
okay, as opposed to how it's written now?
Yes,
Okay, so do you have a suggested? It currently says Laurel Zemansky said that hotel owners had decided to wait until the economy improves before the hotel is rebuilt.
she said they decided to pause the hotel and wait for lower interest rates. I mean, I wrote it down in the meeting.
Okay,
I remember that.
Okay, I remember that.
Yeah.
Who,
So the economy is sort of that, but it really was the interest rates that they focused in.
all right, is somebody taking note of this to make that slight adjustment? Is there any other corrections to December 8th? Chair entertain a motion as amended, Chris, go ahead.
Move to accept the December 8th minutes as altered.
Is there a second on that? Second from David, discussion. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed, motion carries 7-0. Now I have special meeting. December 22, December 2, special meeting, 1 page. And that was attended by myself, Chris, Christian, and Jesse.
Move to accept those minutes as presented.
Second on the motion, second from Christian, discussion. All those in favor, opposed, motion carries 7-0.
Can I ask real quick?
Sure.
Who has those minutes?
Yeah, who did that?
I did those.
Okay,
I thought I put that in, but maybe not.
I was thinking it was the other ones that I had, and you're right.
December meeting.
Okay, now we're gonna go to the 6A, discussion action regarding adopting a conflict of interest policy and procedure. Chris, I believe you wanted to take it before.
Yeah, and I apologize for not getting to whoever drafted this earlier. I really didn't know who did draft it. Is this from IOC or?
No, it was a combination of myself, Jesse, and Storm.
I just had some of my concerns I mentioned last month, but I'm better organized now. It has to do with well, really the small size of our towns, the number of organizations that we benefit, that are active in town that we benefit from, and our collective involvement in so many things. I drafted a short paragraph to go. My suggestion, I'm open to other places, but my suggestion would be under section 4 to insert this as the second paragraph. And it would read, the small size of Harpers Ferry in area and in population means that town officials, employees, and commissions and committee members may frequently have involvement with organizations that may have business before town government. They may also be near neighbors of properties under review by town bodies. These types of relationships do not necessarily indicate a conflict of interest, yet full disclosure is important to maintain the trust and confidence of residents and others. So that was one concern. And then I have two particular things on the list of examples of conflicts. That's on the third page, I believe. One is on number 2. And actually this is going to come up tonight. is the reason that I requested that this be moved forward on the agenda. The spouse of a town council member has applied to serve on the water commission. The council member votes to appoint their spouse. Since I've been involved on the council, and I think for years earlier, we have voted for ourselves to be appointed to commissions and committees. As sometimes as representatives to those commissions. My guess is that all of us here, including the people who are already on the council, voted for yourselves in the town election. I don't see that as a conflict of interest. The spouse is one removed from that. I think it's not a concern as long as there is disclosure. And what I would suggest as a change to this is to read number 2. The spouse of a town council member has applied for a job with the town waterworks. The council member votes to hire their spouse. That would be a conflict of interest. The other one is number 4, and this relates to my paragraph. A member of the town council votes to allocate monies to the local public library where the council member serves on the board of directors. Well, first off, the library is a town body under town government. It's got a little bit special position because it's not solely under Harpers Ferry, but it is in our ordinances. We cooperate with Bolivar and the county on the board. So definitely in town government bodies, and I guess one related to that, quasi-town involvement where the town has taken involvement in some of the functions of the town, specifically like the AT community and Canal Town Partnership. The persons involved in that know it best. There's no conflict of interest. Going beyond that, all of us are involved, maybe not on boards, but as members, as volunteers in many good organizations and causes around. I think the key to that, as I indicated in the paragraph, is disclosure. It's really not necessary to recuse yourself in those discussions. And furthermore, because we are such a small town, it leads into problems with forms. On the committees, where we have 3 people on those committees, if you have 2 of them involved in an organization, you lose your form. So my suggestion on number 4 was to change it to say, a member of the town council votes to allocate monies to the local public library where the council member serves on staff. That would be a clear conflict of interest.
Let me just. What I tried to do when I put these 4 or 5 together as examples, they're not all conflicts of interest. The bigger issue that I think that you're talking around is the appearance of a conflict of interest, and the appearance of a conflict of interest that goes on unchecked and is just as damaging as actually a conflict of interest that principally involves finance. And that's according to Ethics Commission, West Virginia Code, and 10-7. So those two that you picked out, you make a good point. But those two were specifically put in there that I put in there to give an idea of the appearance of a conflict of interest. And I'm certainly, we can change it if we want to, but I wanted to give a couple appearances in there. Like you said, that needs disclosure. Not necessarily, I don't think the ethics commission or either one of those two would ever deem it to be a conflict of interest. But the appearance is what causes problems. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think this paragraph you wrote is really good. And it underscores the fact that the cure most often is disclosure. And I did contact the Ethics Commission when I first came on council because I was involved with an organization that sometimes received funding. And that's what they said, that it's disclosure. Their best practice, they said, was actually that that it be put in the agenda to say X and such person has this position or spouse. Personally, I tend to recuse, but that's because I have someone who in my life who's an expert in these areas and would read me the right act if I didn't. But that isn't strictly necessary, but just by being disclosed. And I do think that the way I read the examples, what is that these are, they can be appearances of conflicts of interest, and it's not meant to mean, if you do these things, you must recuse, or even you have to, there's still judgment involved. But there's more damage when you don't, because then people say, what are they trying to hide? So I think it's as much of a benefit to us as public officials as it is anything else.
Jesse?
I think that, like I said, I've got no problem making those changes either, but I think section 4 of the document. Really lays that out, and the remedy for all this is disclosure. With disclosure, all this other stuff melts away. It's when disclosure does not happen that we've got a problem, and I think, this just keeps everybody above board. And like I said, I think this is good. The statement of understanding of where the town is at. I also think that section 4 really hammers home the requirement more than a need. It's a requirement for disclosure.
I guess. You understood from the ethics commission, Storm, that it's not a conflict of interest for like, number 4, right, where you're allocating monies and.
Correct. Unless it's a direct financial benefit, it's not by the state.
But I would recuse myself every time in that situation, because I think. If we're worried about the appearance, and in a small town, appearance can get really dark. But I would encourage all of us to like receive ourselves in one's involved.
Recusal can't be required, though, right?
Not
Yeah,
required.
can I add though, there's two organizations that a lot of us are involved in. One is the Women's Club. Like, there's a lot of people in town, their spouse may be in it, my spouse is in it. And so that means anything having to do with the Women's Club, I have to recuse myself. Second of all is and that could be multiple people here. Also, then we have a quorum problem. And then the other one is the foundation. My wife's the president. And there's a lot of stuff that they interact heavily with the town. And if we start recusing ourselves all over the place, you're not getting the input from that. Probably some valuable input that you're gonna miss because that person has to leave the room. And then the other being, you're gonna discourage people from even being on these organizations. By the way, I think this whole thing is important, and I think it's good. I'm not against it at all. I think what we're doing is the right thing. But we have to be careful. When it's such a small town, we're gonna lose too much input and too many. Because and one way maybe around the Women's Club and the foundation is to have maybe our town attorney or the ethics commission give us a reading on that. And
The way around it is just disclose it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the answer. But if it's disclosed, it's not an issue. If you do disclose it and everybody says, whoa, man, that's really messed up. Then you can think about.
so how do you disclose it? I don't get it.
So you would say, I know that your wife is involved with the Historic Town Foundation, but to make that above board, you would say, you know, at this, when the event was coming up, the town council going to be voting on, you would say, you know, well, noted for the record that my wife is a member of the, or is the director of the Harpers Ferry Town Foundation. And that's all there is to it. If at that time of disclosure, if there's a problem, others at this table would voice that and say, you know, that's when you speak up. If there's no problem, there's no commentary, that's all there is to it. And they can really honestly comment all they want, because you can't be forced to recuse yourself. It's a voluntary, above board, I don't want to say gesture, but it's a show of good faith that you are not trying to hide or disclose, or, you know, not disclose anything. That's all it is. It's you know, pretty straightforward, you know. Like I said, we know all these things, but it's in public, important in a public role, to make sure the public knows what's going on as well. You know, if somebody watching this video says, that's weird that they're giving this money to this guy's wife. Well, then they have, you know, they can write in, they can bring it up to the mayor, they can come to town council and bring it up and make an issue of it. And the mayor can say, you know, we discussed this, and, you know, it was disclosed for policy, there's no issue. Or, you know, if there was something that wasn't disclosed, or it was a problem, the mayor in the policy, you know, or the town council could bring that to the person and have a discussion about it. And talk about writing, you know, the whole thing is written around correcting the action. It's not to come down on people or anything. It's just to ensure that everything is visible and above board. You know, there's no, you know, if everybody makes a good faith attempt to disclose what they're up to, there is no punitive clauses in there. You know, it's when they don't say what they're about. It's when they, you know, or give the appearance of trying to hide something that it becomes a problem. I did not mean to take the whole thing.
No,
I'm sorry.
Now, the procedure that you just described is what I do when the foundation comes up. And as far as recusal goes, there are even different levels of it. We may not necessarily recuse for the entire discussion and deliberation and vote. And again, it's up to you if you decide you want to do that. I agree. There are times when it's good to have a subject expert there, and there can be additional questioning. If there's any question about propriety, it can be out in the open. But I do feel like it's up to each person individually if they recuse and to what extent. But I agree with David that it is healthy, especially if there are large dollar amounts involved, that the disclosure happen and to consider recusing either for the entire item or just for the vote.
You would have to, I have already been ethics violated, or somebody's already reported me of an ethics violation because of my being the chair of the Business and Finance Committee. You could, the same thing can happen to you because you deal with 50 different organizations, 50, all kinds of things, not just you, but everybody on that committee, because you're dealing with money.
Yes, that's part of the privilege.
From this discussion, I'm comfortable with, you know, the emphasis of disclosure and just, you know, adding that paragraph in. However, I have a little bit of concern with David's comment about the library board. That's one step closer. It's really part of town government. Should we start refusing when we talk about the budget or the budget for planning commission, because we're on the planning commission? It's, to me, it's the same kind of thing.
If we start ask for recusal.
What we said, my comment was, if the money law just recuse himself. And saying there's so many moments where we're on the board that we're voting on.
Yeah, I mean, I take this much stronger. I mean, you know that I leave this room during Women's Club, I leave this room during the Harper Cemetery, and I leave this room during the United Methodist Church issues. Because to me, it's an appearance issue. I don't want to give the appearance that I'm giving untoward support or negative reaction to a particular issue that falls within my household or whatever. So in Storm, I think you're exactly the same way. You go out and leave the room almost as many times as I have.
I am, Ed and Linda leave the room, we're voting on the Store Foundation thing for the PZA, and they did it, I realize now, looking at this policy, I shouldn't have asked them to leave, but probably should. I would point them to this policy, I guess, and if I would do that again, but.
Well, if I'm willing to leave the five alone, the 5 points. But I would move to insert my paragraph. Into section 4, following the first paragraph. So it would become paragraph 2 of section 4.
And then I had one that's not as major, but on the last one, number 5. Talks about a nephew of a planning commission member. So I looked up prohibited interest in public contract guidelines of the Ethics Commission. And they define an immediate family member. I think this is way too broad. It's a used as it means that public officials or employees, spouse with whom he or she is living as husband and wife, any dependent child or children, any dependent grandchild or grandchildren, and dependent parents.
Change nephew to son.
Yeah. And actually, can I, number 5,
I'm just saying, I'm just reading what they got here.
number 5 actually will never happen because planning commission doing vote on approval, you know, this could start off with, we jinx that.
Yeah, okay, so who would do that? I mean, I'm sitting up there, the clock is not coming up.
No, sorry.
PZA?
It could be
Planning does weigh in now, new construction.
a new construction, okay, yeah, then disregard.
Okay,
And this is dated too.
Yeah.
It's partner too. It shouldn't be just.
so you want,
spouse.
are you saying change nephew to son?
Yeah, we can do that, yeah.
Okay, let's do that.
But I'm just saying, the ethics commission already has it in their act, what an immediate family is. So, and I think these are important for the committee. See, we're much more cognizant of this stuff being on the council because we're elected officials. But when you're on these committees and commissions, they don't really think like this sometimes. And I think this is good. Get them to reflect on that.
And if it
And staff, town staff.
makes the process easier, I'm willing to include that change as part of my motion as well.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion before I ask for a second. I'm sure the chair is clear. Motion to make the insertion that Chris is recommending to section 4. Following the first paragraph, and then as part of that. The 5th example, change the word nephew to son. Okay, that's the motion. Is there a second on the motion? We have a second from Jesse, discussion. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed, motion carries 7-0. And I'll make these changes tomorrow.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Chris.
Can I?
Okay, Jesse.
Do you think it would be, once we get all this formalized out there, maybe we could send a note to the heads of commissions and committees that they should review this policy with their membership? And just make sure everybody's, I don't know if they need to sign anything, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad idea, but to formally ask them to go they'll review it with them and become, to somebody here if they have questions about it.
And if it's possible to make that part of the onboarding, not that we have a formal
Yeah.
onboarding with committees and commissions, so.
And employees.
And employees.
Employees. Okay, good discussion, thank you. Approval of minutes for their town treasury report, review and approval of financial reports November 2025, Debbie?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. These financials close November 2025, which represents 42% of the fiscal year. This budget is revision 3 in the general fund. The fund balances total $1,200,000 and operating income is $1,177,000. Income is approximately 50% and expenses are approximately 61% budgeted for the year. Budget revision 4, which will be the actual budget in next month's report, will revises the income projection and adjusts your expenses. In waterworks, water billings are approximately 37%, as is the overall income. Expenses are just under 37%. Revision 1, which will be the actual budget in next month's report, includes adjustments to the expenses. The sluggish income pace is being monitored by our staff and accountants. At this time, it appears that improved meter reading accuracy, a month of estimated readings, some large customer leaks, and seasonal variation are contributing to this downswing. It is too early, however, to make a change to the income budgeted for the year, particularly with the new meter installation on the horizon. But we are watching it closely.
But the fiscal year is July to June 30th.
We're at 42%.
I move to approve the treasury, sorry.
Sorry.
You good?
Let's approve, oh, yeah, well,
Yeah, cause I am worried about that income. I noticed that.
Mhm.
And that, like, we're 10% down.
We're 5% down. 42%,
Where-
5 of 12 is 42, and we're at 37%. Last year, this time, as of that time, we were at 40% versus 42.
Okay, the numbers I looked at were like 100, if I projected out the same pace, I was gonna come up with an income, but we're at about 100,000 a month, right?
It's a rough number, yeah.
Now it was at 1.2,
Mhm.
and our budgeted income is 1.3 something.
Right.
So if I said, that's 10%.
Okay, so your projection is 10%.
Yeah,
But do keep in mind that we are in low consumption. We do typically have a downswing during these months. It does. I tend to always myself want to like panic right about March. I'm like, ah, and then all of a sudden, it's like, whoop, right? And we just, we'll go over this shortly, but the meter contract has been signed. Meters are being ordered. Meters are gonna, all of this is gonna be a new ball of wax by the time we hit the end of the fiscal year. So we got our eye on it.
What was the year last year?
Last year, at the end of November, we were at 40%
We're 37.
and we're at 37 now.
Right, just say, if the revenue were down, sorry. Revenue was showing that we were at 37% instead of 42%. Our expenses were tracking 42%, then I'd be a little bit
Right.
more concerned. Our expenses are tracking with the revenue, so expenses are meeting revenues. So I'm less concerned there that was just, coming under. Is the most
down to people. And we're gonna
Right,
go up
down,
and
down to people. So the reasons our expenses are low, but we're also filling some of that with some of the contract deal. That's good too. Okay, so, alright.
Thanks.
oh, I move to approve the treasurer's reports and approvals as presented.
There's second on the motion, second, Chris, discussion. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed, motion carries 7-0. Approval of invoices and purchases.
The actual invoices are on the table, short description in your chart. Any questions?
I'll go ahead and move to approve the financial reports as presented.
That's checks.
The
Oh.
text.
With the checks, yes.
Yeah. Is there a second, Chris, discussion? All those in favor of the motion? Opposed, motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Debbie.
Right, budget and finance. Discussion action regarding WDA grant and approval of resolution number 14.
The high level is that we have before us a payment to make for engineering costs, and there's going to be at least one additional payment to make. Beyond that, town council has previously authorized drawing down what will remain from the bond funds for use on water distribution projects to be determined, though it will include meter pit preparation for the water meter project, which will be covered under the next agenda item.
So this is resolution number 14 of the town of Harvest Ferry approving invoices relating to construction and other services for the water project and authorizing payment thereof. Whereas the town of Harpers Ferry has reviewed the invoices attached here to and incorporated herein by reference in relation to the construction of water project, funded by the West Virginia Water Development Authority, EECG funds, and the CNB Bank Construction Trust funds and funds as follows. None of the items for which payment is proposed have been requested from another source. Each item for which the payment is proposed to be paid is or was necessary in connection with the project and constitutes the cost of the project. That each of such costs has been otherwise properly incurred. That payment for each of the items below is due and owing. Now therefore be it resolved by the town council of Harpers Ferry that the payment of the attached invoice as summarized below is hereby authorized and directed, and that is one invoice for GDNF from the CND funds, $7,912.55, adopted by the town council of Harpers Ferry at a meeting held on the 12th day of January 2026.
I move to approve WDA grant resolution number 14 as presented.
Second, Chris, discussion? All those in favor of the motion to approve? Opposed, motion carries 7-0. Update regarding CDS funding for future years.
And this will be just a brief update. So on December 29th, the contract was executed with the vendor for this project. And meter pit preparation is underway. Delivery of the first meters is on schedule. And the pre-construction meeting will be scheduled to happen within the next couple of weeks. And short of it is we're still on target to formally begin installation in late spring.
Questions on that? Thank you. Item number 4, discussion action regarding maintenance of
Okay,
main.
wait, you're ahead of one. We're on number 3,
CDS funding.
right? CDS funding. We just did 2, but we didn't talk about it. Storm just described 2. We're now on 3.
All right, now we're on 3. Sorry about that, Storm.
As it happens, there's no changes, so
Yeah.
move on.
Right. All right, so now we're on 4.
Good. Already ready for it.
Okay.
So, maintenance of mains, as previously mentioned or alluded to, we currently have staffing capacity issues, meaning some of the projects are on pause. Just to review, we do have $30,000 earmarked by town council for renew and replace for known distribution repairs to be made. In addition to that, we earmarked $42,000 for the meter pit prep out of the WDA bond monies. And the invoice has just come in. We're not ready to bring it up yet for $28,700 for that work, with more to continue. And next month, if not before, a meeting will need to be, or an item need to come forward to pay what is expected to be around $60,000 to Green Ridge for all of these projects. It isn't ready yet, but that's coming.
Okay, I want to add, so take the 60,000 out of your mind for a minute. I want to just go over the maintenance of mains work that was done for the renew and replace funds. There was a $30,000 allotment that you earmarked for a couple of distribution system projects back at the end of October. And they included Union and Niagara Street, 957 Washington, 178 Polk, 240 High, and 316 Fillmore. Altogether, that was going to be about $30,000. That work has all now been completed, along with 2 emergency leak repairs that occurred at Jefferson and Putnam while the contractor was deployed and on the scene. There was some additional field testing that was done as well to determine the severity and source of certain leaks and the remedies while they were here. All of that work together, which is 2 more leaks and some research, all the invoices now have arrived for those, and the total of all that is about $33,000. So you allotted 30, this is just over 33. So it is a tremendous amount of work done for the amount of money. And we're still examining the invoices. They literally came in at 4, along with the meter prep invoice for 28.7. There's a little bit more meter prep work to be done, but those two chunks of money are about 60,000. So that will all come forward either at your February meeting or before if there's another short council meeting.
Any other questions or comments for item number 4?
You mentioned the corner of Jefferson and Putnam.
No, Jefferson Street is a leak, Putnam Street was a leak.
Gotcha.
I said it real fast. And I might have said Jefferson and Putnam.
All right, number 5, right? Discussion action regarding town website and logo project. Before I turn that over to whoever's gonna received that. Let me make a couple observational comments, I guess, on this project. I know this project has been going on a long time in this town. It dates way back, when Kevin was involved in this. And the last council that we had, started it up again, and I know there's a lot of people with a lot of angst. Why isn't this thing getting done? And why isn't this thing getting done? And I gotta tell you that this is an incredibly difficult task. Coming up with designing and working on the approval of a website. I met with Jesse last week. And this is about 20 pages of potential clicks.
37,
How many?
37.
37 pages, like I said. Of potential clicks for this website that Jesse and Storm and I don't know who else assisted with.
Melissa's been involved.
And Verlissa. So that when you click on the Corporation of Harper's Ferry, you have a lot of choices across the top. You click on one of these, and then it'll open up another list of choice, and this goes on ad nauseam. I couldn't handle taking this project on myself, and I want to thank you, Storm, and you, Jesse, for all the time that both of you have spent together putting these click things together so that people in the future, when they go to the website, there'll be a mass amount of information that they can access. And this is nothing to denigrate or degrade the hard work that Kevin spent for years setting us up, because the town never had one. And if it wasn't for Kevin, we wouldn't be where we are right now. So Kevin, thank you. We're just taking it up to the next level. And so Storm, Jesse, and Melissa, who's usually sitting here, I really thank you for taking this huge task on. We're not there yet, but we're gonna be there soon. So let me turn it to you, Storm.
Yeah, I'll start and then I'll swing it to Jesse. So yes, we are moving forward as you described. Because it's critical with this that we get it right. And we're also gonna be getting input from all the key stakeholders. So it's like the duck going across the pond. There's a lot of churning going on under the water. But there's gotta be something to show until we have it right. It's all laid out. And I do also want to thank Jesse for coming in. He has a lot of experience in this area and he is bringing it to bear on this project. And we're all excited to start working with the vendor to really put it together and end up with something that the town can be proud of and be a great source of all of our information and activities. Jesse?
So this is a level 1 site map, a little over level 1. So it's if you start at the home page, you go one level deep. And that generates 37 pages of documents. So ultimately, it'll be somewhere 3 to 5 levels deep by the time you get all the way into selecting meeting minutes and things like that. So it's a very complex task. This is a mostly industry standard site map. So the vendor will be able to translate this directly to, an actual website when we get there. As Storm mentioned, we don't know the exact process yet, but we are going to be coming around with commissions and committees and all the stakeholders and making sure that how they want to use the website is also addressed. Because, it's more than just a public information tool. It's a tool for us to use in managing the town and all the commissions, committees to find information and make use of it. So, this is feasible to do, in the first half of this year where this is a tangible advancement that we're at. The existing website has the bulk of the information. We're mostly just reorganizing it and making it dynamic and useful. And to meet modern expectations, especially with mobile devices. And the new site will do that. But, when we do come around, I would ask that, you have I hope that everybody has a pretty good idea of what they want to accomplish, with the website. And, once we settle on the site map, it's going to be that way until launch. Later after launch, we can look at doing edits and changes and updates, but there will be a point where we're done and that's how it's going to be. So get what you want in now, because it might be a while. And that is all. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Evan?
Hopefully the new website doesn't. Stay up as long as the current website has, it has 15 years. And it's, it's been very useful, but we definitely need a new website.
And that's one of the things under the last council that we decided was to work with the vendor who specializes in municipalities, like small and medium ones. So they'll continuously be updating what they have, so it won't fall on somebody to try to keep the site together.
Thanks to all of you. Item number 6, discussion regarding the Alpha Engineering proposal for Henry Clay Street capital improvement financing. So,
Brief update that I'll swing over to my left here. Jesse and David have been working to identify potential bidders and will consult with Kevin Hamilton as well.
Yeah, I spoke with Patty, a couple weeks ago and realized the project is a lot more complex than Jesse and I think originally thought, so we're gonna have to take some time and put our heads together and figure out the best way to get people here, because the biggest problem, as you guys know, is getting people here to bid on our project, so this one has enough complexity where I don't think we just get a young engineer in here to try to make a name for himself, but so we're still working on it, is the bottom line.
But we are working on it. That's the important part.
thank you. Water Commission General Report from PWA.
All right, so our unaccountable water for the past 2 months, so we estimated bills in December. I went back, I didn't give you a number last time. Because the estimates, I went back and I looked at 2 months taken together, the unaccountable water loss 41%. Seems a little bit on the high side, but when I work that out to a rate of loss equivalent, this is this midnight to 4 a.m. kind of number I've been picking around. It's actually seems to be headed in the right direction in terms of the trends that we've been seeing so far with that. So I think the number seems to be a little bit high because we're using we bill less water than typical seasonally, what I say in the last couple of months. So that number goes down, our unaccountable water goes up, and same amount of water is leaking into the ground, and it's all based off of how much water we have produced about 5.5 million gallons each month in the last 2 months. We had 3 holidays in December, 2.5 holidays in January so far. We've been able to try to keep the pay a pretty high premium for hours worked on a holiday. We were able to, we've been trying to keep that down. We were able to not work at all on Christmas Day, except for 1 hour to pull the system sample and get that down to the plant, tested and recorded. I know staff actually was very happy that we didn't have to take one Christmas Day. Elsewhere, the flow has been, it's been low, it's been dropping. The rain that we had over the weekend has noticeably helped a little bit this morning. But we are keeping an eye on that. We've been doing a little bit of hydrant repair down at the plant. Our hydrant there at the plant that started to leak. And we did get someone in to actually to teach us how to rebuild that hydrant on Friday. We got that, taking care of that. That was contributing to some of our leaks. Some unaccountable water, I gotta account for it. But we were leaking, our estimate was it got to about almost 200,000 gallons of monthly equivalent. So
Was it 100?
100. So we got that taken care of on Friday. And we'll be basically building some kind of inventory of parts, so we'll be more prepared to rebuild as necessary with some of that happens. Deb already went through a bit of work that Greenwich has been doing. With few more numbers, we actually cleaned out 60 pits, they vacuumed out 60 pits. And then we replaced about 2 dozen of our clocks that were broken. Otherwise, in need of repair. At one point, we had as many as 3 crews from Daniels working at different things here in town, concurrently on the day. I think that's. all I have.
Any questions, Jesse?
I saw the cat man down there in the generator. What did he
Oh, yes,
find?
yes, okay. So it's cones.
Oh, you're right, something like,
Okay. But we do have a brand new generator down there that came with the plant. About a year ago, when the first time that we really needed to kick on, it failed to kick on. And Cummins actually failed to show up within a 4-hour response time to get started for us. It's a whole other issue that I'm dealing with, but that generator is covered under warranty until I believe November of 2027. So they're down looking at all that. They are leaking for repairs under warranty. It got down to a low coolant one, and the coolant had been leaking out. And kept throwing warnings, and then finally it got so low that it wasn't so. So it has been working since since that fault. We got somebody else in to get it up and running for us, and we keep an eye on it up ourselves. We was down there basically to effect we did the 130 currently 1.2, so we both should not have as well.
You guys do maintenance testing, like you do testing on the generator?
On the generator, so the generator is set to kick on for and run on. Not under load though, but it runs 15 minutes every Friday morning. So there's to do that. Problem we have is there's nothing that tells us that it actually kicked on right now. And so you kind of have to go out and know that it's supposed to run and look at the log or listen for it or something like that. So you do have to pay attention somewhat to it. And fortunately, the way this is one of the things I've learned with all that, I do want to talk to Paul, the skid manufacturer who designed and programmed our SCADA control system. There is a fault indicator from the from the generator, and from day one, that's kind of blunt if there's a fault. So we ignore it. We ignore the fault and get that fixed.
so the fault,
The original fault, we were told the original fault problem was that if the fuel level in the tank is too high, that'll throw a fault. So, originally we filled the tank and we thought that's what the fault was. So we have to kind of straighten that out a little bit. But we're paying a bit more attention to the baby.
One other question. I just want to highlight the conversation we had before the meeting about the movers.
So the PSB has generously come forward and said that in the interim between now and when we get all the 2 meters in the ground, if we find that we have dead meters out there, we're talking about the small 5 days residential moves. They go for right now we can buy those for about $100 a pop. And ESD is very interested in any that we find are dead, giving us 0 readings, then they will buy those meters and they will put them down for us.
I didn't say we buy the meters, so I hope we put them in.
I didn't understand that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so because we can recover the money in a month.
Alright, so our structure.
Your payback is very fast.
So water structure is a little bit different than, sorry, writing in that.
Yeah.
So, the water department structure is we charge a minimum 2,000 gallons. So if somebody's meter isn't working and they're kind of a low user, then it doesn't really, I'm not incentivized to change the meter. Structure for ESD is different. They charge everybody, basically a connection fee, no matter what they use. And then from that first gallon, they charge a per gallon rate. And so if we don't, you know, if someone uses 1,000 gallons, or 0 gallons, they're losing out 1,000 times that rate, which the water department doesn't lose. So incentives are a little bit different in terms of rate structure. PSD is, but what we are gonna do, I will talk to, Eddie down at PSD tomorrow, about zero leads. But Kathy and I went through zero leads today, and this month, we didn't see any that we could not explain as either a house minority vacant or a meter that's marked off.
So we have a similar list, but we have. Families of 4, we're like, we're zeros and like.
Yeah.
Put it in there, cause they're probably gonna go. Be the high users.
So we're gonna look at some of that. and see
Yeah,
what
we heard those lists.
And I think it was about 2 or 3 months ago. I went through that list. Actually, I personally got out and I was disconnecting meters in the pits. Running water through and making sure that the water was, that the meter was spinning, and we did come up with a number of dead meters since swapped out. So it is something that, we do have to look at on a regular basis. I think from the PSD's perspective, it's like, don't wait until all the new meters are in, by the end of May. Get to it now because there's revenue that there was.
Which 4 or 5 months ago, I'm gonna get that.
Any other questions for Steve? Thanks, Steve. Water Commission would bypass that. Session action regarding reappointment to the Water Commission. This evening, we're gonna be looking at possibly filling 4 vacancies, so I want to go over real quick the procedures again. Been a while since we voted. Just to remind you, just because an applicant or an interested party submits a document saying they're interested in serving, doesn't mean they're nominated. Right? A letter doesn't necessarily mean that we have to nominate that person, so keep that in mind. Secondly, when a nomination is made, there's no second. I'll open up nominations. And I'll call for nominations, and then when there's no further nominations, I'll close. The chair closes nominations. I'll then do a roll call vote. You have the right to vote yea or yes if you support that candidate, nay or no if you don't, or you also have the right to abstain for voting for whatever reason. So that's how we're gonna do all 4 of them. All right, so we have a vacancy. On the Water Commission, this is seat number 5, which will expire on December 31st, 2028. And we have a letter of interest that was submitted by Jay Srivastava. Geez, I'm not practiced that.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, Jay Srivastava. Jay, if you're listening, I apologize. We had a letter of interest submitted from Jay. The chair will now open up nominations. Chris?
I nominate Jay Srivastava to the Water Commission.
Are there other nominations for the Water Commission? Hearing none, the nominations are closed. Chris, roll call.
I vote aye.
Storm,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Jesse. Aye. Christian,
Aye.
Evan. Aye. Chair votes aye. Parks and Rec.
Oh, wait,
Now we're to the planning commission item.
Sorry. Minutes.
The
On both, so.
Department of Zach. Planning Commission reports that.
Good evening. Planning Commission did not meet in December, so don't have a formal report to give for this town council meeting. But during holiday break, we did receive what I hope is the final or penultimate version of the comprehensive plan from the coordinator at WU. It's still missing a few things. We have to plug the appendices in there. And if anyone, including town council members of the public, has photographs of town or town events specifically, we have a few gaps for photos. Other than that, the plan has been sort of put together by Christie at WVU. It looks as good as the information contained within it is. So it's a good sign. And we have a couple new folks in the planning commission now, so we're going to, this is the main topic of discussion at Tuesday's planning commission meeting. If all goes well, I think we can have this ready soon. I think the shortest timeline, we're required to hold a public hearing before we send it to town council. So the shortest possible timeline still could get it to you for next month, but most likely March. But it's in our hands, with a few, hopefully minor adjustments, if we hear soon. And the only other thing I have, which haven't heard anything yet, but the FEMA floodplain ordinance, it's just something that's remind us of. I don't think there's been any update over the holiday, but if it has, then we've chatted about it at planning, but I just want to highlight it, so.
There was.
Okay, that's all.
Any question for?
There was a FEMA update. So. For the first time in my life, we were done with something almost a year in advance. FEMA has pushed the deadline back to August of this year for the floodplain stuff. So, this is like, I don't know what to do with all this spare time, but everybody involved got this done. In advance of the initial deadline, so we were done before, we weren't even close. It was extremely well done, and I hope that we can complete other projects as smoothly and as quickly as we did this one. It was pretty awesome.
Patty and Debbie can find something for you to do.
I'm gonna join that, and I'm in it, so, yeah.
Yeah, well, the comprehensive plan does guide us, once that's adopted, planning commission will, we don't rest on that, there's a capital improvements plan that we have to generate as the next step, and then anything else you want to send our way, so. We'll get this off our desk and then get ready to do the next project, thank you.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
appreciate it. Now,
Okay.
Patty, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Well, good evening, council. As Parks and Rec's annual report was provided in your packet, I'm not gonna read the entire report tonight. But I'll give you a few highlights. With the assistance of several fundraising events that we held during the year, our year-end bank balance is $10,443.20. We executed 9 annual events in 2025, with several coming in under budget. Parks and Rec has worked with Town and Trail Alliance, providing signage for the trail connecting East Ridge Street and the town park in the corner of Franklin and Washington Streets. We're continuing to work on a beautification project for the park located on the corner of Franklin and Washington Streets, assisting with funding the repairs to get the fountain up and running. It's a pretty big project. Parks and Rec would like to thank the council for your continued support in our endeavors. And we're moving forward with our 2026 event schedule. So the first event in 2026 will be our 3rd annual film festival, which is scheduled for Saturday, March 21st. And the event will be held at the Nather Training Center. So more details to come.
Questions for Patty? David?
One of film to do for the film festival, or you already.
We have not selected yet. We have a meeting next Monday. We're gonna be talking about it in the about it.
One of they submitted, but when did they be submitted by?
I don't have that date because I'm not the head of this particular project. But I would say within 2 weeks, because we have to start getting the advertising ready. But I can circle back with you, David.
Sure.
Okay.
Is somebody looking at the advertising before it's published? I know there was some concern about the posters last year.
Yeah. Yes, we'll definitely screen them. We will not be doing any more horror films. Lessons learned. Any other questions?
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you, Patty. Historic Landmarks Commission discussion and action regarding reappointment to the Historic Landmarks Commission. Council, we have one letter of interest in a reserving, and this is seat number 2. It expires January 31st, 2029.
Wait, that's the one. Told you. 5 years. 5 years, so it will expire 2031.
You told me that yesterday.
NZA?
Easy to serve the longest.
Landmarks.
Landmark.
Oh, landmarks.
Sorry.
So we received one letter of interest, and that was from Caitlin McAleer. The chair will open up nominations.
Would like to nominate Caitlin McAteer.
Okay. Are there other nominations? Nominations are closed. Chris, how do you vote?
I vote aye.
Storm?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Christian?
Aye.
Kevin? Aye. Chair votes no. Board of Zoning Appeals, discussion action regarding reappointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals. We have 2 letters of interest. You have those. One of the seats is seat number 1, expires January 1st, 2029. Then there's a seat number 2, which expired January 1st, 2029. Chair will open up nominations. Lauren,
I nominate Ed Wheelis for BZA seat number 1 with the term ending January 1, 2029. That right?
right? Other nomination. Hearing none,
You have no letters?
I have 2 letters. From
These two letters and pieces.
So we nominate after we do the roll call.
yeah, we're nominations open for seat number 1. We'll have Ed Wheelis nominated for that. The chair's calling for further nominations for seat number 1. Nominations are closed. Chris?
With full disclosure that Ed Wheelan is. I enthusiastically vote yes.
Storm?
Ed Wheelis is not my spouse, but I enthusiastically vote yes.
David?
Yes.
Jesse?
Yes.
Christian?
Yes.
Evan?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Chair will open up nominations for seat number 2.
I'd like to nominate Bart Wheatley for seat number 2.
Number 2, nomination for Art Wheatley. Are there other nominations for seat number 2? Nominations are closed. Chris?
Vote aye.
Storm?
In the interest of not appearing biased, I enthusiastically vote aye.
David?
Yes. Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Aye.
Christian?
Aye.
And Kevin?
Yes.
Chair votes aye. ORC committee report. Kevin?
So the ordinance review committee met on the 8th of January 2026 for 5 items. The first item was the addition of a 3rd zoning category, which members of the ORC will each bring back to the next meeting with draft language. The second item was historic signage, for which the ORC members will bring back possible concerns. The third item is revisions to the nomination processes for the various commissions and committees, and that item is still in progress. The fourth item was revisions to section 1312.02 of the town ordinances, which will be brought back for approval at the next council meeting. And finally, the ORC discussed changing the title of the ordinance compliance officer to code enforcement officer in ordinances, which will also be brought back to the next council meeting for approval. And the ORC agreed to meet again on the 4th of February.
All right. Any questions for the ORC? Thank you for that, Kevin. Discussion action regarding second and final reading of approval of ordinance 2025-06, removal of article 909.04. Kevin, you gonna handle that, or do you want the chair to handle that?
Yeah, I will. So this is ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance to remove section 909.04 of the codified ordinances.
Snow liquid. This is that. I'll second.
But
That's not.
who made the motion?
You did. I thought that was your motion.
Yeah.
It's all you.
Did you finish your script reading, Kevin?
Yes.
On now, all right, now the chair will entertain motion.
I move to rescind the, I don't have it right in front of the ordinance 2025-06. Removal of article 909.04.
We're second on the second reading. Hand that to Chris, discussion. All those in favor? And opposed, motion carries 7-0.
And we didn't have snow this year.
So far.
I'm confused.
That didn't sound right.
No.
You were rescinding the ordinance that was then gonna remove Article 909. I think you wanna clarify your motion.
Oh, so to move to
You got that?
Approve,
Thank you.
Approve,
Oh.
sorry, approve. Thank you.
Confusing because approval of the
Removal.
article means rescinding.
Right,
That part of the.
yes, we're not rescinding it.
right. Sorry, guys.
All right. Okay, IOC, general report, David.
We haven't met in a while, or, Steve's been out with it, we're gonna have some interviews happening for the open seat down there, still gotta work on making sure we have all the job descriptions and we're not hiring, we gotta do that too, and he's busy, so. That's, we're waiting on that week, so we'll meet once we get some job descriptions in front of us and. We do have a committee set up to do the interviewing, so we know who the people are. I think it's between Storm and Christian's availability for who's gonna be the representative from our group. So
I'm
so we
saying,
have time.
population decline committee, before I ask David to really address this, I want to acknowledge. That this was kind of first drafted between, David and Storm and myself. And since the first draft or so, David's kind of taken this to the higher level. And, so I think we're getting real close. I know David wants to talk about a couple of things. So you may want, when you talk about what we're rescinding out of this.
Yep.
Mention the fact that you had met with.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me turn that over to David.
Okay. So there's two things going on. One is, the charter had that, population survey that we wanted, or housing survey that we wanted the committee to do. So, one of the original committee members we appointed, I had many conversations with her. And she has actually resigned her position. But in those conversations, she talked about a lot of the work that committee was gonna have, was there enough time, do we have the resources, et cetera. So it made me think about a conversation I had with Zach a while back, but they've done some similar housing survey recently. And that planning commission is a good place for this to land, because it is land use is their purview. So what I've done is the charter had as a first task. The housing survey, I've taken it out and I'm gonna do a motion that says. They're gonna ask that that planning take on this survey. And figure out a way to do it regularly. I think it's a good thing. We kind of agree it's a regular thing we should be doing. And keep it updated every however many years they think is appropriate. So that's the background to some of the part.
And I think David's, drive on it, and the fact that just kind of to reduce the impact of the workload on these 3 volunteers or 4 volunteers, or how many we can let.
And so I gotta get the news and. A little bit of news. No, that's the, okay. Okay, I move that we revise the charter for the population decline committee. Would be edits to survey the as presented.
Is there a second on that motion?
Yeah,
Okay, yes. Discussion on the motion to amend. Chris?
I'm less prepared on this than I was on the other, but my only concern, was that uh, there was talk on at the beginning, the duties and responsibilities, reasons why vacant structures are being purchased and then converted to short or long-term rentals. I guess related to the other items, but I kind of would like it to be mentioned specifically, or second homes or vacation homes, because when we looked at that, at Lynn Petroconis's work on that, there were actually a lot more vacant houses due to being vacation homes or second homes as this, and I'd love to see that be part of
In the survey, as part of the survey.
well, that was a finding in the survey. And I would like the committee to have that as a focus as well as the short-term rentals.
I'd suggest it might be combined in, that idea can be part of number 3. Which is, we could phrase it as reasons why structures are being held as vacation or part-time homes, and if there are ways to attract permanent residents.
Anything with that?
I'd say that again, Sean.
What the new number 3 would be reasons why.
Ways.
Well, the front end will become reasons why structures are being purchased and occupied by part-time residents and ways to convert or attract permanent residents.
David, you got that? One trying to read one more time.
Yeah, just let me go.
We're actually ready this time.
I started this confusing, so that's okay.
Should we say non-primary residence,
Yeah,
non-primary structure, or non-primary residence and that kind of.
So when you're trying to say reasons why vacant structures are
being occupied by,
not
There's non,
being occupied as
it's non-primary residence. This is
Or used as non.
used,
Yes.
It's not
yes,
non-primary residence. Residences.
That's clear. Pass off the rest, so that
well, and then it becomes, and ways to attract.
that's number 4.
Right, I'm saying that,
Yeah.
or it could be separate, if it doesn't make sense to combine them.
And ways to attract permanent residents, so it fits in with that.
Yeah, my original thinking was for that to be the front end, and then the second half would be, and ways to attract permanent residents, saying. We have a lot of folks that are part-time, or vacation renters. But how can we encourage everybody more permanent residents?
David, just so the record's clear, will you read what you have in front of you?
So I'm gonna keep number 4 because the English doesn't work. It's written that way, so right now it says reasons why vacant structure, number 3 reads now, reasons why vacant structures are being occupied or used as non-primary residences.
Take out occupied or the same used as,
Use as, okay,
and then and ways to attract.
so I did. But number 4 now reads the same, ways to attract permanent residences, is that,
Oh, so you're making that from,
that
okay,
was,
yeah,
4,
got it.
it was separate originally. So it's just a separate, they're gonna provide reports or recommendations. The mayor and council relate to the following, one of them is ways to attract permanent residences, this something, it's like that.
residents,
Yes.
Or,
right, not residences.
yeah, they do from the size.
Is everybody in council now
I think we're there.
familiar with where we're going with this? All right, based on Go ahead, Scott.
Oh, just if we're done with this part, I do have a separate comment.
So. We'll need a motion.
Well, he made a motion already, but if he
Yeah.
is amenable to this change in the motion.
To amend,
To amend that.
Well-
Yeah,
Yeah, we can make an amendment to the motion, but we can also, if he's amenable to the second, I didn't even think, did anyone second it?
Jesse second.
Jesse, no.
All right, so we're gonna go with amended motion. Okay.
okay.
Move.
Okay. We're gonna vote on the amended motion, so I'll need. Motion.
I move to accept the amendment to the
Name.
mission statement.
There's second, Jesse, discussion. All those in favor of the amended motion. Now we go back to the main motion. All those in favor, discussion?
Just, I think it is a good thing to put it before planning commission to do the survey, but do want to emphasize the importance of this being grounded in good numbers and for it to include these dimensions. So I would hope that this list, that was part of the duties and responsibilities of this body would be conveyed to planning commission.
And we have Jesse here who will sure that the first. Great. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the main motion? Opposed, motion carries 7-0. All right, so.
Does we signed up for something?
You're on. You're already on it, so.
Yeah, you're on. Okay, so now we have discussion action regarding adding a member to the population growth, we call it the PGC.
Yeah, it's a long name, that's the biggest mistake I made with this thing, it's actually called the Select Committee on Assessing Officer Population Growth.
All right, you wanted to cover that one?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Paul Mayhew for the vacant seat. I don't know if, do we need to? Let me, can we hold that motion?
It's not a motion, it's a nomination,
Sorry,
so you want to give it.
do we need to accept the resignation first?
Okay, let's resign.
But it would help me to know who's on it now.
Right now it's Mike Rock and Amanda McDaniel.
Yeah. And although we do not have a note from Paul saying he's interested, we've not called.
I have
And we all know. Paul.
I have an email.
Okay, you got
Yeah.
one, that's even better.
Yeah.
All right, so are there other nominations? Hearing none, the nominations are closed, Chris,
I vote aye.
Storm.
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Jesse, Christian,
Aye.
Kevin, Chair, aye. David, good work on all this.
So I will update this
Yep.
charter instead of doing 3 numbers, I'll send it to you guys.
Okay. Unfinished business, discussion and action regarding stormwater management.
Yeah, just a brief update. The Stormwater Committee is in communication with Region 9 about potential grant opportunities for the Chesapeake Bay Trust, which is the entity whose grant enabled our more recent stormwater green infrastructure concept plan.
Any questions, David?
Can I talk about stormwater a little bit? Adjacent to that, so the recently there was an approval by the planning commission for a land disturbance permit at the properties in Fillmore. The bottom of Fillmore. So Roberta sent me a letter concerned about how that went, how that proceeded. And I kind of reviewed what she'd given me. And her concern is we rushed through the process. And I, based on what I read, I tend to agree with her. Where I don't know how quickly we got. What the timeline was and when we received a full permit, we have 45 days to review it according to the ordinance, right? And I don't know when that was deemed complete. And I think what I understood is that the planning commission has like 6 or 7 days to review it. And then they had a meeting and approved it. Nothing and they didn't use a professional. and I'm gonna get on my soapbox here on this a little bit. I really feel like we need to get professionals involved for certain things in the town, certain approvals we do. This is one of them. I dabble in stormwater, but I wouldn't be able to look at what they had in 6 or 7 days and been able to approve that or know it well enough to be comfortable approving it. And that's where I think we need to lean on professional engineers and have them on retainer. Make the fee in such a way that you can pay for it, nobody's, we're not paying for that out of our town budget, but we're getting that fee from the builder. And I think these are easy enough where professional engineers are gonna have a high enough cost here to kill a project, and I think they're gonna be pretty rote, because it's all residential and it's all pretty similar topography here. I mean, there are challenges in this town, and the purpose of stormwater permits and land disturbance permits is primarily to protect the Chesapeake Bay. And there are like total maximum daily load calculations that have to be done, and I do those, and I know how they work, but it takes me a while to put them together to pick the right. If you look at your soil, look the right coefficient, there's a lot to it, and I think to ask for volunteers to do that is not it's a little bit disrespectful to the homeowners who are surrounding those properties to not do it well. Because I think it's still likely to get neighbors fighting with each other, right? And I think if as long as we can stand behind a professional helping us, we really gotta beef that up. So.
Just a reminder that we did have a stormwater study with engineers. So we have a whole study. With several designated projects to choose from.
That's a town-wide stormwater plan. This is a project stormwater.
Specific projects.
Yeah.
And in a perfect world, in a best practice. If we are asking someone to bring us engineered documents. We should have someone of equal stature to validate those documents. Right now, it's not required, as long as the state engineer signs off on it. So in a perfect world, we would have that, and it would be a best practice for sure. It should be, if we're going to do it, it should be in the ordinance, a requirement, not a.
Say anything else on that?
So I guess, can I push something to the ordinance review committee to look at the land disturbance permit rule and add a fee to it?
Say that again.
Add a fee for that review, so we can hire a professional engineer to do those reviews.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen that much in our town, but it should have happened up at the hotel, it didn't, this was one, our lots are 120 by 60, so it's a 5,000 square foot threshold for this, and all our lots are 7,200, so.
But she did provide the requisite engineered,
Yeah, I mean, it looked good, but we should have someone trust but we gotta trust but verify basically.
I'll say this is a little further afield than what stormwater committee usually does, like it sounds and feels more like what planning typically covers when it comes down to process. And how these things are laid out and enforced, so I don't know if the first stop with the ordinance review or planning.
Yeah, so it was on planning, that's how it got there. I think that both Jesse and Dave have good points here. The ordinance in question, I don't remember the number off the top of my head, required planning commission to make sure the stormwater plan was in place, but did not require thorough review. So if ORC is going to look at it, it's the ordinance. I wish I had the number, that was.
1713,
Yes,
and I can't remember the dot.
if that ordinance said that we had to review it for certain points, then as chair of planning, I would have done something different, but the current ordinance requires it to be present with certain things on it, which in this case, that was, the checklist was checked.
Yeah.
So there was no mechanism in the ordinances, and this even came up at the planning commission discussion, that members did want us to go above and beyond. But by the rules as written, as chair, I didn't feel that I could require. Something additional than was written in the ordinance.
But you would do you approve the land disturbance permit. So in that approval, I think you have the right to say, I need professional, I don't have a professional. And that's the fee of it.
Well, we probably could say that, but we don't,
We couldn't at the time.
right. I mean, that's what we're saying needs to be in there. There needs to be a requirement that they ask that, you know, because the landowner. You know, everybody comes into this prepared with what's in the ordinance. You know, that's what we have to decide on, is the ordinance, and then, you know, if we want to change that and improve it. You know, I think we should, you know, we have to do that after the fact, you know, so, you know, if we're gonna do that, now is the time. So next time something like this comes up, if it ever did come back up. You know, we will be prepared with that in place, and maybe it should be planning that sends it to ORC with the request, you know, because we are the ones that will have planning is the one that has to address it, so maybe we could define what we needed to say in order to make it, you know.
Clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just say that, yeah, the way it's currently written, it seems like a procedure that the town has in place to ensure that if an issue does come up, let's say flooding or excess storm runoff. Then the town has that document on file to say a professional engineer signed off on this stormwater plan. Rather than planning commission engaging an independent reviewer of that stormwater plan at that stage, if that makes sense. It's a very subtle difference, but in this case, it came down to us trusting the professional engineer that signed off on the document as opposed to feeling we had the power to engage an independent reviewer.
There's a lot of subtlety involved in all the things they're asking, where we are requesting, a third party provide engineered documents. You know, that's the very, you know, the essence of subtlety is in the sentences that make those requests.
Right, I don't wanna leave this issue open, I wanna see if we can close this somehow. I don't think Kevin has enough information for him to lash out with ORC and carry those, he's gonna need some assistance.
Yeah, I would encourage planning to assemble that information and to bring to ORC.
Do we need a motion to that effect, or?
Well, on a ordinance to change, Kevin, isn't the procedures that can be brought forward to ORC by anybody?
Yes.
Okay, so Jesse, you and Zach, and whatever. And bring in David if you need to, just to make it a little bit more palatable.
If it's okay with everybody, I think we probably won't get around to that till March.
But you had that other thing, you don't have anything to do.
Oh, wait, that's right, that's right. But the planning is focused on the comprehensive plan, knocking that out.
Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Zach. Okay. Next agenda item is discussion and action regarding the potential acquisition of additional vintage radio wave fixtures. I received intelligence from a member of this that Rockport, Maine allegedly has some of these same fixtures that we have on our streets. They do not have a town council in Rockport, Maine. They have a select board. And their chair is Denise Munger, and I've sent 2 communications to Denise Christian and have not received anything yet. I will reach out again tomorrow. They don't appear not to have kind of sort of normal office hours, so. I don't know what goes on up in Rockport, Maine, other than they make something. What is the product?
It's LMD.
Yeah, LMD.
Right. Selling stuff. That's a big.
Well, it's the headquarters of the Puffin Project.
Oh.
Do they have a town manager? Typically in New England, you have a select board with selectmen.
Yeah.
And then you have a town manager.
Oh, okay, that makes.
Not necessarily my hometown,
See, these particular lights are no longer being manufactured, so we have to find other lights.
It's like
Lights.
anytime they show.
Yeah, so anyway, I'll reach out again, all right, so. The next two items, I'd like just to bear with me and flip these, just in case we go into. It's a need to go into executive session, and then I don't wanna come back in and handle, so. Maybe we can do discussion action regarding Columbia Street gate beautification project. Christian, if you could do that now.
That was my thing. I just wanted to pass this on. I wish we had a monitor and I'd pop it on the monitor, but this is currently what it looks like, the gate to Columbia Street down by the barber shop.
Kind of North Korea feel, didn't it?
Sure, yeah, show Kevin here before he goes away.
Sorry.
Generous.
Yeah, sorry. That's Friday, last Friday. So the hotel project's been put on pause. It's no longer a construction project or a pending construction project. So at this time, I think we need to do something. It's not acceptable, in our, per our ordinance, for appendix A, historic standards. We also, this is where residents go through. To go up there as well as many of our visitors. So it really needs to look a whole lot better and fit the historic standards of our town. I just think that I can make the motion, but I do think that we should ask the Swan organization to look at this and do what they can to fix it up. It just doesn't look good.
Christian, why don't you read the draft?
This is my draft.
Your draft motion.
I make a motion, town council reach out to the Harper's Ferry Hilltop LLC, I believe that's their official name, to request a Columbia Street gate beautification project that hides the chain link fence / gate with completion by April 1st, 2026.
The only thing I would suggest is that we assign who that to be, and I would suggest the mayor.
Could be Kevin Hamilton is another.
I don't mind reaching out. I mean, if I'm gonna reach out, I'll reach out to the project manager.
Okay.
Which is Laura.
Laurel's answer.
It might be a nice idea to, kind of prime the pump a little bit and make suggestions about how they could do that, barricade planters, which are just really tremendously heavy flower pots. They have removable bollards, you can put, something like that to, give them something to work with,
Yeah. Christian, why don't you change the LLC and all that other verbiage to the project manager, the hotel project manager.
Or it could just be, Swan representative, which would.
Yeah.
Okay, I make a motion.
Let me see what they discuss.
Can you expand what you talked about there too, to like, it was pretty open-ended. It was open-ended, what she told us the other day. And I don't know when interest rates are coming down.
Years.
And then I think we should start talking about maybe taking the fence down. Honestly, and if it's gonna be delayed like this.
I tend to.
Well, we got the same issue with Shipley School with the Park Service. That fence has been there for 20 years.
Yeah.
And so if we go with one.
Well, but it's. Yeah, they're different issues, sorta. I mean, it's safety, the Shipley School's got a little bit more of a safety issue going on there, I think. But if it's closed,
Well,
maybe not.
Yeah, I think because it's evening, I don't know whether it's safe enough to go up there in the evening without, there's no light up there at all. If the stars were out, you might be able to see enough, but it's pretty rough that some of the surface up there.
I think, this is a solid way forward with the Columbia Street request. It's a very low intensity request and has an immediate tremendous benefit to the residents and visitors. And it, if we can make that happen, if we can, reach an accord, we can build on that, and Columbia Street is. It's very appropriate to ask this and, you know, it should not be it's a very reasonable request.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with, it's taken on the steps. Okay, I don't have anything else to add. Does anybody before I ask Christian to form go ahead, Christian.
Okay, then my computer went down again.
It knows more fault.
It knows exactly when I need it, goes down. Okay, I make a motion that the town council reach out to the Hilltop LLC or Swan representative to request a Columbia Street gate beautification project that hides the chain link fence / gate with completion by April 1st, 2026.
You said, town council, can you change that to the mayor?
I make a motion that the mayor of Harpers Ferry reach out to the representative of Swan to request a Columbia Street beautification project that hides the chain link fence / gate with completion by April 1st, 2026.
Second.
Okay, from Chris, discussion. All those in favor of the motion? Opposed, motion carries 7-0. I will do that. All right, now. Discussion action regarding post office lease renewal agreements. Yeah. Hey, we're gonna need to go into executive session.
So, we're gonna talk about money, but this will literally take 10.
Let's just to be safe.
Then I'll go in.
Yeah.
Have you actually walked up through there?
Yes, so many a time,
Yeah,
but it's rough to walk up.
it is rough. I mean, there's a lot. But the whole thing, it's a very. It is like a.
All right, council, I'm gonna recommend. That we go into executive session. Based upon West Virginia Code exemption 698-4. Sub-9, to consider matters involving purchase, sale, or lease of property, etc.
So
Do I have a second? Second from Chris, discussion. All those in favor of the motion to go into executive session? Opposed, motion carries. We're in executive session at 8:50, and I am authorizing Patty and Debbie to remain in executive session.
Who's seconding that?
Chris. No, I was requesting that we win.
All right, we're out of executive session.
All right,
Hold on.
Chris,
I move to authorize the mayor to sign the lease agreement with the US Post Office as presented.
is there a second on the motion? We have a second from Christian. Discussion on the motion.
One thing, I'd like to thank the work that Pat Morse did, as the town administrator, in landing us in this spot.
I agree. Any other? All those in favor of the motion? Opposed, motion carries 7-0. Motion to adjourn from David. Second by. Yeah, it's always in there. All those in favor of adjourning? Opposed, we are adjourned at 8:50.